great day. You're looking bright and healthy. I
Thank you,
love
thank
it.
you,
I
thank
love
you,
it.
thank you, thank you.
You are looking really good and appropriate for our talk today about aging healthy and feeling good about aging, right? Seeing it as something to give gratitude for. When you are aging, it means you are still part of this world.
And I do want to point out that I actually almost never tell people my age. There are people who should
Mhm,
know, like I think you should know how old I am. Unless I'm dating somebody, then I'll
mhm.
tell how old I am.
I've been comfortable with telling people my age, and I think the day that someone guesses my age, I can tell my age, and they're like, "Huh, I thought you were older." I'm gonna stop.
Welcome to the road to Soul Joy Wellness, where a coach and a therapist explore the journey to living your best life on purpose. Here are Joy Williams and Nadine Husner, your host.
Hey, Joy. Good
Hello there.
morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Great to see you as always.
Wonderful to see you.
Yeah, great day. You're looking bright and healthy. I
Thank you,
love
thank
it.
you,
I
thank
love
you,
it.
thank you, thank you.
You are looking really good and appropriate for our talk today about aging healthy, right? Or just aging, but I say aging healthy.
Yes, because we are that is the goal, right? To
Hmm.
look good and to feel good. We need both of those.
We do, and feeling good about aging, right? Seeing it as something to give gratitude for, right? Because when you are aging, it means you are still part of this world.
That's very true. And I do want to point out that I actually almost never tell people my age. There are people who should
Mhm,
know, like I think you should know how old I am.
mhm,
You know, but and unless I'm dating somebody, then I'll
mhm,
tell how old I am. But I don't tell people the age because I think they get caught up in the wrong thing.
mhm. I've been comfortable with telling people my age, and I think the day that someone guesses my age, I can tell my age, and they're like, "Huh, I thought you were older." I'm gonna stop. But so far, it's worked in my favor. When people are like, "Oh my God, you look good for your age." What I really hate is when people say, "Guess how old I am," and then I'm like, "Oh God, 12," because you just don't want to make that mistake. But eh, I've always been comfortable telling my age. I don't care. It's a number. It doesn't define me. And I feel good about my age. I can look back at when I was younger and what I looked like and remember that I didn't appreciate those days, but I feel like I'm aging like a bottle of wine, maybe
Well,
Bordeaux.
yeah, so I think it doesn't matter. The Bible tells us we are supposed to count our age, so we're supposed to know. Sometimes I forget, but we're supposed to know because I don't say it often. Sometimes I have to remember what age I really am. But I do also notice that people they draw conclusions from that, and you can sort of see. So when they don't know your age. So when I went to business school, I was above the mean, right? I was older than the rest of the population. And for the first 2 weeks, I told people how old I was. I was clear on it. I told them. So I was in my early 30s, and the average age was 27. So after that, they forgot how old I was, and when they asked me, I wouldn't tell them. I would tell them to guess or something. I wouldn't tell them. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why are you asking me? I told you already. And then when people really forgot about the fact that either they didn't know how old I was or whatever, you could see their perceptions of what that age meant, that someone my age, the things that they thought. So I would get some more of their conversation about age, um, what they thought about age, because they forgot that I was over 30 and they were still in their 20s. So it's an interesting thing because I think about and what I thought of being my age now when I was in my 20s. I don't know that I thought I was going to be so fresh and so fly, right? So I didn't know that I thought that because looking at the people back then, the people who were my mother's age, since we were both members of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority and Silver Stars, we had that to look forward to. We knew Silver Stars, we knew people who had been in the organization for 25 years and how they looked. So, but we don't look like that.
Yeah, and I was always um, amazed, when I met people who were silver stars in the organization. When I first joined, I'm like, oh my God, you look great. Like, and I'm thinking, you've been in the organization 25 years, like you're still alive, right? And it definitely changed my perception. And now that I'm in that realm, I'm like, why would I have thought that they would look any differently? Why would I have thought that? Right?
So I
It's not that I come from a family with people who, time is not kind. So I don't know why that perception in my mind even existed.
yeah, I think some of that in the aging part is style. So I think the difference in people, they were them have more mature style,
Hmm.
right? So more
True.
conservative, like people would say when you get to a certain age, you need to cut your hair, right? Even Oprah said that when you get to be 50, you need to cut your hair. So the reasons for that might have been that your hair would be thin or whatever, but more people prescribe to more conservative look, right? So
Hmm.
now we are the that set, we're the fashion forward as well. We're not trying to be 20, right? I'm not trying to do that, but I still wear things that I think are cute.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And now for our words for today. Even though we're talking about aging, our word of the day is going to talk about being young. It's 1 Timothy 4:12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. One of the things I thought when I took that was not just about young in age. Sometimes it's young in a situation. I think we have to be conscious of that. Like new people come to a job, or new people come to a space or organization, that we treat people differently. And we could be those young people, young organization.
There's so much that everybody has to contribute to every situation. I think learning is an ongoing experience. So no matter what age you are, I think about myself, even with technology, how I look to the young teach me to keep me relevant. I think people do themselves a disservice to think that they know it all. Knowledge is not destination, it is a journey. I definitely believe in not I acknowledging and supporting the young and the information that they have to share.
When I was young, I didn't want people to disrespect me because I was young. Can't now that I'm older, just ignore
Yes.
young people.
We should take those experiences that we've had in our lives and learn from them and do unto others as we wish others had do unto us.
A great word of the day: be respectful of the youth and the young.
Yes, because we are young.
Yes, always.
Always.
Back to the rest of the show.
Avoiding that, I guess what we would call being that frumpy person. And that's definitely about taking good care of yourself, the way you dress, just self-care. I think people who take care of themselves typically look good. But I do agree with you, Joy. It is about how you dress and that more conservative, matronly appearance that will dictate how people think how old you are. And I don't care. Sometimes my husband is like, you need to put some heels on. I'm like, not gonna do it. Um, I'm for comfy and flat, right? And it sets them over the edge, but whatever.
But comfy and flat now can be cute. So there was a time where comfortable shoes, if someone said you had comfortable shoes, you knew they were ugly, right?
Mm,
Or they were matronly, or they weren't stylish at all. But you can have some really comfortable, cute shoes, which
mhm,
will help preserve you anyway. Because if your feet are hurting, right,
mhm.
that makes your whole look
It
worse.
changes. And even men, like men having to not dress a certain way, right? When you think of an elderly man, you think of his attire, right? You think of one of those, boxed kind of shirts that's hanging out of their pants and loose clothes. But you want to present as younger guys who dress, in athletic wear may be perceived as older or, are more in the skin tight and higher high I call them high waters, but that look um may be perceived as being a lot younger than they are. But I think for both men and women, the
Hmm.
clothes and how you put your clothes on, I mean not clothes on, but your style definitely will dictate your age, how people perceive.
And it's interesting because even if we look at professional worlds, so when we look at Mark Zuckerberg, who wears a t-shirt basically, right?
Mhm.
That there is a lot in that space. Because I know for us in especially in Alpha Kappa Alpha and other things, when we go to meetings, we have to be dressed professionally and the traditional standard of what professional is. So
Mhm.
there are places that if you wore the business suits and the dresses and the things that we wear to our meetings to the work setting, then you would look out of place. So the professional dress for some places, I know a friend who interviewed at Google who actually wore leggings because that is the standard, right? So the standard of those things changes, and we can look differently in age. Another thing that's changed is young people have made, and that's funny to me when I say that because I'm still a young person. But anyway, young people have made gray hair a thing, right? So when people started to take on gray hair as a color, then some other people feel free in the gray hair. And I find that it's not the gray hair itself, if a person has full gray hair, because my gray hair just, why I'm so colored, it just covers around my face. It's not cute at all. But some people have really pretty gray hair, and it's not aging. And then it's, I don't know if shampoos or colors to make it vibrant looking. I think all of those things. So you can have gray hair and be 20, or have gray hair and be 100. So, and it still looks cute.
I don't have that gray hair either, so I will color mine in. I get my little gels and my spot coloring, I call it. It's hard, but also gray hair is not necessary. Sometimes for people when they're sick, like health will age you. Health will bring those gray hairs in a lot sooner, a lot faster. So there are many, of course, there's genetic predisposition to having gray hair, but it has become a fashion trend, thankfully. And just now I have to dye my hair gray in order for it to be fashionably accepted, or else it's just going to look like, I don't know, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be a good look.
Yeah, I might try it out. There are these like clay kind of things you can put on your hair so it coats your hair in a color. So one day I might try that out. So you can coat your hair in any color and it'll stay for a couple of weeks.
That's
and
a
then
henna.
yeah, no, it's not a henna. It's I'll find it and I'll share with you that because it will wash out. It's not coloring your hair either. It's covering your hair. So it's I saw it someplace because I wasn't going to dye my hair. I wasn't going to use gray. I was going to use some other color because you can use any, sometimes people really want to be like a pink, a purple, or whatever. There's a whole spectrum of colors you could have. And it's like a messy process, but it's like you're putting clay on top of your hair. And then it's a temporary color that will last for a little while. But I'll find it. I'll share in the notes of this too, but I'll share. Yeah. So it's interesting though, because you talked about how sickness can make you have more gray hair, but the sickness, if you really get sick, that can age you overnight, right? So, and some of that you depending on where you were before, how well you were taking care of yourself before, you'll either be able to bounce back more quickly or not. So one of the reasons to focus on being healthy and to make sure you're doing some strength training and those things to keep the muscles and to keep all that. So if you happen to be sick, people are going to get colds or whatever. If you happen to have that happen to you, then you can withstand it and still look like your wonderful self. Because even when I was growing up, my mother and my aunt, and they didn't have wrinkles around their eyes. They didn't have crow's feet. They didn't have that. My aunt used to want me to get her some things to prevent wrinkles. I'm like, but you don't have any wrinkles. Like, what are you talking about? So yeah.
She's like, yeah, I do. She's like, I remember what I used to look like.
Yeah, there was probably a little tiny difference.
She's like,
but we are more critical of ourselves than other people. So
yeah, no, I mean, because we definitely are more critical on ourselves than other people are. But definitely aging in a healthy way by watching what you eat, monitoring your cholesterol and your healthy blood pressure. These are things that really help to contribute to a healthier aging process. And sadly, some people are, and it's interesting, I've learned recently, or I have learned that having high cholesterol and high blood pressure may not necessarily be due to weight, that some people are just genetically predisposed to those metabolic disorders. So on that's very interesting because I was like, oh, I gotta lose weight so that I don't have high cholesterol and I don't have all these things. I don't want the diabetes. Right. But sometimes people just have a predisposition to it. So
Yeah, and that's definitely very true. I know someone who was really in great shape. She had like, her arms were defined more than Michelle Obama. She was really exercised all the time, and she had to take her high blood pressure medication all the time. So what normal for her was high. So if I get to 120/80, that's high for me because my blood pressure runs from 90/40, which my doctor's like, I don't know how you're walking around, to 110/70. So I think I've had it recorded 5 times in my life, maybe at 120/80. So there are a lot of variables for each person. So you really need to know yours and to know what to do. Because you can also be thin and active and have diabetes and have type 2 diabetes. So type 1
type
is
one.
type
Type one would be thin. That's like
yeah, but
juvenile.
you can actually have type 2 in that.
Oh,
I just
really?
listened to some people who said that, but you
Wow.
can end up with diabetes, and then you can end up, I thought that everybody who had type 1 diabetes was born with it, and you can have some conditions that take you to type 1 diabetes. So yeah, so you can end up with diabetes and not. So I'm not a doctor, so maybe the information I have is a little off, but you can have diabetes and still be thin and have all those things. So it's one of the components. Or if you have diabetes and lose weight, it might not go away. So we want to try to avoid it. It's a combination of things. And we are so focused on weight in this country that we ignore other things. So we need that combination of being at a healthy weight, because being at a healthy weight helps just about every medical condition except, I think, wasting away disease, which is, your body can't hold on to weight. So if you had more weight, then that would make sense. But other than that, being at a healthy weight helps it. But you can be and this was from a person who was a former football player, who's talking about how there are people who are 300 pounds, these football players, and they're in really good shape and they don't have diabetes. So so we need to stop looking at people and assuming what conditions that they have. And that is a more of a complexity going on, and what needs to happen for people. So being at a healthy weight is a benefit for just about everything.
Yeah. And definitely, there are athletes, it's not being focused on the number. Sometimes we get so caught up with the number because you can be extremely thin and underweight and be unhealthy. But what does healthy mean? What does healthy look like? And for everybody, I mean, there's a general standard, but everyone is slightly different. So if you are a person like me, I think I I tend to weigh more than what I look like because I'm big boned. so not to get too caught up. That's what I'm telling myself now. Not to get caught up with the numbers too much, and it becomes a number game for a lot of people.
And you're a dense person, so you've seen people, and for I don't know if you're like me, but you know people, they lose 5 pounds and they look different.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
not 5. No, I need to lose. I need to lose like 15 pounds and then I'll look different, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a dense person. So also, talking about female health. So I'm dense. I'm a dense person. When I used to do swimming, I took life saving, and there's this the survival float that you're supposed to do, which is basically you're holding your hands in front of you and you're just laying there. So most people in the class were on the top of the water. I wasn't. So my hands were at the top. My body is low. So the reason they tell you to do it, because if you're on the top of the water, you can just easily push your hands down and get your head out of the water. But for me, just laying there, I'm below the water. I have to push myself. It's effort, right? So because I'm a dense person. So if you are have nice fluffy fat, you float. That's not what I have.
I don't have fluffy fat.
You probably think more too. So
to the bottom.
So I have dense tissue. I have dense breast tissue. So when I go get a mammo, I have to get a mammo and and a bilateral
like,
ultrasound.
yeah.
Have to do that. Dents, all that stuff, dents. So, and some of the things people talk about change. So after, admittedly, I'm post-menopausal. So one of the things that changes is the protective factors that women have against heart health go away. So all of a sudden, overnight, my cholesterol was higher. I'm like, I've had a good cholesterol for my entire life. I have not done anything particularly worse, I didn't think. So you have to pay more attention to that. So as you age, there's some things that change. And then, I have I have a spot in my hair. So when I go to the hairdresser, and I haven't been to a hairdresser in a while, and I get my hair done straight, they're always trying to part my hair where this spot is, because I think they feel like my hair must have been parted there, so it's thinner there. But that's not what happens. I was hit by a motorcycle. So let me tell you about this little story.
Oh my
So I
God.
was in Spain, minding my business with my friend and my post.
Trying to.
Yeah, right. Minding my business, running around Spain. I'm trying to think of where we were. It'll come. Were we in Barcelona?
I think you were in Barcelona.
Yeah, we
I
were in
think I recall the
Barcelona.
story.
Yeah. So I was the one who was walking around. So we were traveling with this woman from Australia, because the Australian people, they some of them take a year off and they travel the world. So we were traveling with this woman from Australia at the time, and I was the one who would say, these Spanish drivers are crazy. They drive crazy. They drive really fast. You got to be really careful. You got to be really careful. So we were crossing a street, and I was in the section between the road and the cars, which is, the, what do we call it? I don't know. Some places is the gutter. Some places you can park, whatever. But I was there. So this is what I'm told, because I don't remember this at all. So my friend that I was traveling with, and the Australian woman we were traveling with, were behind me. I want to call her Sandra D, but that's made up. Were behind me, and a motorcycle decided to come through that space. He was trying to get away. He hit into me, and I flew up into the air, my friend tells me, and came down. So the next, I don't remember any of it. I don't remember any of it. I had these cute little heart shield earrings. Remember the shields?
Yeah.
They're sort of like a puff. So I had those on. And when I woke up in the hospital, I feel like my friend came in and said, like, you were hit by a motorcycle, and then she turned around, but you're okay, and left. This is what I feel happened. Of course, that did not happen. So I have a concussion. Yeah, I have a concussion. And then, a woman from the embassy came. She's an American woman who's married to a Spaniard, and they talked about, all these things. But so I was in the hospital for that period of time. So I didn't actually know that I had stitches in my head until I got home. Which was probably maybe a week later. We went to Paris after that, and then I flew home and left my friend behind, who was traumatized, because she's telling me that she didn't really know that she saw it all until she started dreaming it. So she was traumatized for this experience as well. But I was in the shower one day, and all this hair came out of my head because I had some stitches up there.
That you didn't know of.
Yeah, I didn't know. I knew that one of my earrings was flat, like the puff heart flat. So I didn't know. And then, and then I had some cut or whatever on the ear. So I didn't know. So I'm washing my hair, and I'm like, I said all my hair is coming out, but only the hair around that stitches came out. And then when I went to my doctor, she's like, these are the best stitches I've ever seen. So I
like, clearly, because I didn't even know they were there.
I didn't know they were there. So yeah, so I had a little scar there, and actually over all these years later, because I was 20 something then, all those years later, the area is filled in a little bit, but it does look like you might think that I was parting my hair there. So that's my story. And because my hair is so thick, people never notice it. But when I get my hair done straight, they're like, do you want your hair parted there? I'm like, no, I want to cover that up. So, but now I have, this post-menopausal thinning hair, and aging gracefully, you figure out what to do about it. I think a lot of women have issues with their hair. So now I take some collagen and then some vitamin D. So Black people have low vitamin D on average. So low vitamin D, if your vitamin D, and my vitamin D was critically low, was 13. Depending on who you talk to, it should be a minimum of 25 is kind of low, and then trying to get it up to 100. I don't know if that's possible, but anyway. But having low vitamin D can cause your hair follicles to shrink.
Is that D3? Is that
Yeah,
D3?
you should take D3 to rectify that. So,
Yeah.
but most of us Black people have that. And people say go outside. I remember my doctor, my white general practitioner, having her assistant call me and say, she wants you to go outside and expose your arms to the sun for 20 minutes a day. And I think that was January. I was like, that's not happening.
That's not going to happen.
So yeah, so in addition, I have to take vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
So those are things like to compensate for the other things that are happening, because you know, it not that I did anything in particular, but these cells need to be regenerated, and you need to have all of the nutrients and things. So I do that. Take the vitamin D, use some topical things, drink collagen, which is helping the nails, skin, bones. And I fell off the wagon of taking my regular vitamins on a daily basis, but I'm going to get back to it because my nails were really strong and thick and long. I don't know why I fell off of the wagon, but I have to get back on it. I actually had my vitamins are liquid, and then I had some other, like my vitamin D and those things were pills. So I had the liquid in the bathroom with the pills, and then I decided the bathroom's too humid for all the pills. So so it's like creating a habit that's easy. So I think those are the things that we have to do. We have to make an adjustment on that, and then make an adjustment on the exercise that I get, because you know, you can easily get more sedentary as you have more responsibility. So
I'm definitely living a sedentary lifestyle, definitely, and just trying to be more consistent with activity. This week, my kids are, there's no school this week. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get up in the mornings and when I usually get up, and I'm going to go walking. I stopped running, Joy. I remember we used to go running. I stopped running because it was really creating issues with my knees and my joints. I kind of felt, and being that I'm trying to age gracefully, I decided that I'm no longer running. I'm just going to walk, and I do fast walking. I have some neighbors that I go walking with, and one time we got caught in a rainstorm, and they were like, "We're going to run." I was like, "Run forth. I'm okay with this." But walking, I would like to do more Pilates and yoga, and have not made that commitment to myself to do those things because I think when you get older, your workout changes if you're not that person. I was never that person. You remember, Joy. I was never the runner. I was the jogger. But just trying to find exercises that are going to strengthen, strengthen me and my agility, working on my agility, because I hear when you fall, when you're older, it's not the same. So
yeah, I think for some people the falling is like literally the fall is the beginning of their downfall, right?
yes.
And then to do those things, the Pilates, the yoga, the things that have flexibility and balance. So I was talking to my mother who's doing a lot of chair exercise. I'm like, that's great, but you need to do some other exercise because you need to work on the balance. Like I feel that I'm good at catching myself, right? So if I'm tripping or whatever, you can catch yourself, but you have to be agile enough to do that so you don't fall and hurt yourself. And then to make sure that you have enough bone density. So right now I'm really dense, and I used to think Black people don't have osteoporosis or osteopenia, which is before that. So I had a bone density test, which was fine, but you have to think of those over time. So another reason that people take the collagen. So I take vital peptides, which Jennifer Aniston is promoting. So again, I'm not a physician. You need to talk to your physician about what you should be doing. But there are two kinds: the kind that's flavorless and the kind that's chocolate. So my mother takes vital peptides and pours it on her cereal in the morning. So the chocolate kind. But I have another friend, they take the kind that has no flavor and puts it in their coffee. So those are other ways of increasing your collagen, increasing all those things in bone density. And there are people who also do bone broth. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I've heard, yes, I know.
Yeah,
bone
and
broth.
that can help in the collagen. So the collagen, so all these things, good for your nails, your hair, your bones, your muscles. So if you can keep that, because those are the things that decrease. and you definitely have to do weight bearing exercise. So that so you shrinking is a real thing. My mother and I used to be the same height. So I was looking at a piece of paper yesterday. I'm like, the doctor says you're 5'4", so I'm 5'8". My doctor says you're 5'4". So the first time she heard that, someone said she was 5'3.5". So apparently she's grown. But part of it is that she was sick, and then she is not standing as straight as she used to. So she's working on it. So I think
so
she's
your
taller
mother
than.
is 5'4"?
I think she's a little taller than. I don't think she stands straight. So if she stands straight, she'll be better. But yeah, you have to actually work on it. And my mother told me a while ago that to look at her for the things that I need to make sure that I do better. Right. So I told her years ago that she has to do upper body workouts. So it's great that we're walking, right? We're walking money because it's weight bearing, and that helps your bones and your legs. But if you're not doing anything for your upper body, your upper body will shrink. So you have to continue to build bone, and weight bearing activity is how that happens. And you're stressing your bones, it causes them to build themselves up. So that's the other thing that happens to people because they're older, frail. They're not doing anything, they get frailer. They're not doing anything, they get more frail. They fall, they break themselves, and their healing process is hard. So you want to, as you age, make sure that doesn't happen to you. You don't have to lift heavy weights, but you have to lift something. You can do push-ups too. And my mother used to be able to do more push-ups than me. My upper body is kind of, fake. I managed the gym, and I would teach the classes for anyone who didn't show up. So I would use a 2-pound weight, right? So I had it looked like Michelle Obama arms, but I could not really do a good push-up. So yeah, but you need to do that to build those muscles so you can keep your full height, because you don't have to shrink.
I don't know if you remember, Joy, years and years ago, I would say a couple of years, maybe decades ago, we went skiing, and I kept falling, and I could not get myself up. My upper body strength, finally I just rolled myself down the hill because I was like, I am not getting up. And I am not any better today either. Once I go down, I just stay down, just roll me down the hill.
That's hysterical. But you can work on your upper body strength, even because you can do push-ups against the wall, against the table, and against the stairs. And that's what I gave my mother to do. So do them on the stairs as opposed to trying to do them on the floor. Or you can do yoga push-ups, which are just laying on the floor, putting your hands in the push-up place, and just push your body up without trying to, and leaving your lower body on the floor. So push all the way up. So you should be able to feel it in your lower abs, which is also a good stretch for that too. But you actually really need to do that, because all these muscles and bones and things need that to be supportive. So yeah, my upper body strength is fake. So that's what I told my trainees, like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I actually want to have upper body strength. I have this vision of me like turning 60 and being an American Ninja Warrior. Like, I'm gonna go. And those people focus on age all the time, be able to do it. So those people who do that, they're really in good shape. They are really like pencils, right? So they can pull up their body. And I have a lot more weight than that, but because I've never been able to really do an unassisted chin up. So these are aspirations, right? So one day I'm like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna do unassisted push up. And then can you imagine? Because what do they call the I forgot what it's called, but they take the bar, they're suspended in midair, like it just defies gravity. They will themselves to push their arms up, and then they go to the next rung up. So as a person who cannot do one unassisted pull up, that's like impossible. If I did that, it would just be like the miracle of all miracles.
Yeah, I know. That it looks insane to me when I see it. I'm like, I can't even. That they kind of like push the bar up. I'm like, yeah, not gonna happen.
Yeah, it defies gravity and everything else about it. So yeah. But that's my 60th birthday present to myself. We'll see when that happens. I got a long ways to go, because I'm still 26.
35.
Yeah, so we can age gracefully and have a great time and be fun and have our best lives.
I think that's my goal. Definitely want to age gracefully. I want to be healthy. I want to be vital. When my life slows down, I want to be able to enjoy it.
Yes, and for you, life slowing down. What does that mean?
I don't even know. I don't even know what that means. I'm working to find that out. That's that's something I wake up every morning and trying to figure out, how do I slow things down? How do I not overwhelm myself?
Yeah, and what is it that you really want to do?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
your slow is probably just other activities. Because I don't know, Nadine. I haven't seen you in person in a while, but I don't feel like that you are sitting around the pool doing nothing every day for
I
any
wish I could.
length of time.
I
Yeah, I
know.
think mentally that I think that's too little for you, because you were the person who used to have multiple jobs,
I'm
right?
a true Jamaican. I will confess. Joy used to make fun of me. She'd be like, okay, what job is this? I'm like, girl, I got 10 jobs.
Yeah. So I think slowing down is a concept that people put on us when we were younger. So how you live your best life having really great fun. And then the other thing I think about, because I went to California for a friend's birthday um, last week, and that was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
So as a person who is always working on my own personal finances, if I can make my fun trips also tax deductible,
That would be fabulous.
yeah. So it's not really slowing down. If I say, how can I next time I go on this trip, tack on something that makes
Yeah,
this trip a tax
a
deduction,
tax
which
deduction,
means I'm working, right? So
which means you're not slowing down.
yeah. And I never really thought of it slowing down. I remember after I graduated from business school, I had a series of temp jobs before I, had a regular job. And one of the people I worked for was a Columbia alum. And
Hmm.
he, I think, was like 89 or 90 years old, still a broker working for Prudential. And he was
Wow.
like, retirement is the first step towards death. So I'm sure he worked until he absolutely could not work. And he had tons and tons of clients. He got up dressed every day on his suit and all that, but retirement was not something he was looking forward to doing.
Yeah.
So
And I think for me, how I've stopped using the word, because what does slow down mean? I've stopped using the word slow down or to slow down. But what I'm trying to do is be more intentional and being in the moment in whatever I'm doing. And by being intentional and being in the moment and being present, then it forces you to slow down because you are present. When you are just surfacely involved in things, yeah, you're just constantly running, 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 right? But I'm really being more intentional to slow down and stay in the moment with the things that I'm doing, so that I'm not overworking myself or running from one thing to the next and multitasking. But that's a challenge, right? How do you stay mindful in the moment with whatever you're doing, being present? Super hard for me,
yeah,
but I'll
well,
get there.
yeah. I mean, mindfulness is definitely a practice, and you have to practice it. And it really
Mhm.
focuses on making sure we're not multitasking. And I'm really,
Mhm.
a multitasking person. So
Mhm.
you're not multitasking on the things that are important, right? So you
There's a
really have to do that.
yeah, there's a saying out there. How does it go? There's a difference. There's some not to mistake um, activity for productivity. And we feel because we're moving, 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 we're pretty active, but we're not being productive. So productivity, being truly productive, will require you to slow down and be present in whatever you're doing.
Very true. Very true. Very true. Just thinking here. So this has been great. We should have more conversation on the healthy aging,
Mhm.
aging healthy,
Mhm.
aging, aging
Yes.
healthily, I guess. Aging healthy.
Aging,
Healthy
healthy
aging.
aging,
Yes,
healthy
healthy
aging,
aging.
healthy living.
Yes.
Yes,
Having
healthy
our best
living.
life,
Living
right?
our best
At
life.
every age,
Yay.
at every age.
Yep.
This was
Okay.
fun. Join
This
us
was
next
fun.
time.
Yes.
Share with your friends too. Let them know that, the coach and the therapist are having a really great chat.
Really great chat. Hope to see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Join us next time as we continue to focus on living our best life on purpose.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Road to Soul Joy Wellness. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We love your feedback and a chance to answer your questions, and we may even share your ideas on the show. Until the next time, enjoy your time on the road to Soul Joy Wellness.